They say that on the edge of the Arizona frontier, there's a stretch of land where even the coyotes don't howl anymore. A place the old-timers call Deadwind Hollow, where the sand never settles and the night never forgets. One night, a sound stopped there, and the desert went silent. It was 1872, when the last mail rider through that country was a man named Elias Grant, a soldier once, quiet, steady. The kind of man who trusted the trail more than people. He'd been carrying post for 12 years, cutting through the red mesas and riverbeds between Bisbee and the mining camps north of Tombstone. That summer, the heat had teeth. The kind that stripped paint from wagon wheels and turned men mean. But Elias didn't complain. He just rode, alone with the wind, the smell of dry sage, and the weight of the mailbag slung behind his saddle. Letters full of love, lies, and last chances, all bound for places that barely existed. The story started with the missing riders. 2 of them, weeks apart, both last seen at the same watering hole, Coyote Bend, where the sand dunes fold like waves frozen in motion. Locals said the bend was cursed, that the wind there carried voices, soft and broken, like a woman crying somewhere just out of sight. The Navajo called it the place where the earth breathes. Elias never believed in curses, but when the mail company offered double pay to make the run through Deadwind Hollow, he took it. Money was money, and ghosts don't stop a hungry man. He left at dusk. The sky bled red, the air so dry it hummed in his ears. As night fell, the desert came alive. Coyotes, locusts, the steady whisper of wind brushing the rocks. But somewhere past midnight, it all stopped. No wind, no sound. Even his horse froze, ears twitching. Elias dismounted, listening. The silence was so thick it pressed against his chest. Then he saw it. A shimmer, low on the horizon. Like heat, but colder somehow. He led his horse forward, slow, boots crunching on salt-crusted ground. The moon was high, white, merciless. And there, half buried in the sand, was a stagecoach. At least what was left of one. Its wheels were splintered, its doors half open. The horses, gone. The lantern still hanging by its hook, glass unbroken but the flame inside long dead. And then he saw the footprints. They circled the coach once, then simply stopped. No drag marks, no struggle. Just ended, like the people who made them had stepped off the edge of the world. Elias called out. Once. Twice. His voice came back to him, hollow, as if the desert itself didn't want to listen. Then from inside the coach came a sound. Soft, like paper rustling. He pulled his revolver and leaned in. The seats were torn, the mailbag ripped open, letters scattered everywhere, their ink bled and faded. One caught his eye, sealed with red wax. The address read, "To Mr. Elias Grant." He froze. The handwriting, he knew it. It was his wife's, except she'd been dead for 7 years. His hands trembled as he broke the seal. Inside was a single line, written in her neat, slanted hand. "You don't have to ride anymore." He blinked, heart hammering. The air grew colder. Outside, the desert wind began again, faint, whistling through the coach windows like someone sighing. Then, from the distance, came a bell. One slow chime. He turned toward the sound, but the desert was empty, and when he looked back at the stagecoach, it was gone. They found Elias's horse 3 days later, wandering near the bend. The saddle was still strapped on, the bags unopened. The man himself was never found. But the strangest thing, when the company clerk opened that saddlebag, inside was a letter. Unstamped, but written in the same red wax seal. It said only, "He's finally home." For years after, riders refused to cross Deadwind Hollow. Some swore they'd seen a lone figure there, a man on horseback, pale hat pulled low, riding slow through the dunes under the full moon. Others said that on certain nights you could hear the faint clink of his spurs, followed by the soft flap of mailbags against a saddle. But the desert stayed quiet. Too quiet. They say that was the night the wind itself stopped, as if the desert, at last, had nothing left to say. And yet, there's something peaceful about it, isn't there? Maybe Elias wasn't taken by ghosts. Maybe he just found what he'd been looking for, an end to the endless trail, a chance to stop riding. Or maybe some debts can't be buried in sand, because every storm that rolls across Deadwind Hollow still carries a whisper, faint but certain, like a voice calling from far away. You don't have to ride anymore. Some mysteries don't want to be solved. They just want to be remembered. And in that remembering, they live on. This has been Wild Tales Storytelling, where every shadow hides a legend, and every legend leaves a mark. If you felt the silence of the desert tonight, subscribe, share, and join us again for another wild tale from the forgotten corners of the earth.